Chicago sports. This is Chicago Sports Tonight.
Flo's a great D coordinator, and I'm expecting that he'll have a bunch of different wrinkles. He's probably one of the more challenging coaches that I've had to, go against so far in my career.
Gives you all kinds of problems. You got to be on your mess for all 60, 70 plays on offense. It's as mentally fatiguing as it is physically fatiguing for our guys.
You have to be as close to perfect as you can be.
We got our work cut out for us, but provides a lot of challenges.
Playoffs don't start to another 2-3 months, so get our first division win. That's our main focus.
Bears are ready to pay back the Vikings, but as the newcomer just said, a guy who has experience in the playoffs and a couple of Super Bowls, postseason is still a ways away, and this Sunday the Bears should be focused on winning their first NFC North game this season. They can't go 0-3 in the division. Welcome into a Friday night edition of Chicago Sports Tonight. She is Cassie Carlson. I am Lou Canellis with you. Our NFC North preview is brought to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. All right, I get the excitement about the Bears halfway through the season at 6-3. But, hey, this team needs to start winning division games, Cassie.
Yeah, sure would be nice, right, if you could start thinking about taking the North and never giving it back, as Ryan Poles said in his introductory press conference. But sitting at 6-3, everyone in football says you are what your record indicates you are, right? So the Bears are 6-3. And you look at the Lions having to play the Eagles Sunday Night Football. That's a primetime game that everyone should have their eyes on because Bears take care of business in Minnesota. Lions lose to the Eagles. Spooky, right?
When
was the last time we talked about that? Being first in the division? Wild.
One thing at a time. By the way, the Bears 3-18 over the last 21 games in the NFC North, losing by a margin of 10 points a game. That has to stop. This is a different Bears team than the one we saw in the opener, isn't it?
Totally. I mean, you went into that game with so many question marks about who this team was going to be, who Ben Johnson was going to be as a head coach, who Caleb Williams was going to be in year 2 as the Bears, what they hope to be franchise quarterback. And over the last 10 weeks, I think we've gotten a lot of answers of what we think this can look like in the future. Granted, the Bears are still not playing their best football. The goal is to be playing the best football in December. But the way they have been able to find ways to win in the fourth quarter, Caleb Williams has 4 fourth-quarter comeback wins. That's insane for a second-year player. I think it's second most out of all quarterbacks. And so to be in that position and have this team believing that they can win any game despite whatever they're down by heading into late-game situations, I think is a huge part of the culture shift that we've seen from Ben Johnson. I also think we are seeing Caleb play at a much higher level, and we just talked about it on Bears Blitz. We are seeing Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams seeing the game the same way, and it's something that Ben Johnson alluded to when he was hired, wanting his quarterback to see the game through the play caller's eyes, and I think we're starting to see that. And granted, there's still so many strides that can be made when you're looking at the offense specifically, but I think you are seeing immense growth from the quarterback.
In 6 of their wins, they have forced 19 takeaways. In the 3 losses, just 1. Are they too dependent on takeaways?
I see both sides to this because I do think it's in their DNA and in Dennis Allen's scheme to pick their places of where they want to go for the takeaways. So it is such a huge emphasis in how this defense wants to play and what they want their identity to be.
They really work on it at practice.
They do it, and they're watching this film saying they're not going to go for the pick every time, but they're noticing tendencies of when they can jump routes, when they're aligned in certain scenarios where they feel like they can get interceptions that way. So I do think it's highly emphasized, which is why I'm not too worried about it. I also think it's kind of what they need to do given the fact that they're down so many starters on defense. And so having so many players that need to step up, I think the turnovers and takeaways are kind of what the identity almost needs to be for this defense right now until you get someone like Jalen Johnson back. And what great news we got today that the 21-day practice window has been opened for Jalen Johnson. He had cord muscle surgery. He missed all of training camp, came back for that Lions game, re-injured it. Not the season he wanted to have. And to see that he is now back on the practice field, officially listed as limited in practice on Friday, is pretty incredible. And to see him in the locker room, to hear that he was in the weight room, dapping up Ben Johnson, being like, I'm ready to come back, because he wants to be part of a winning culture and a winning team. He hasn't experienced that since he's been drafted in Chicago either. So 21 days, we might see Jalen Johnson back on the field just in time for the gauntlet of the schedule.
By the way, the head coach, super excited to have Jalen Johnson back. Here's Ben Johnson talking about maybe arguably his best player on defense returning.
What has he shown to get you to that point?
That he's healthy. So yeah, we'll see how long it'll take to get him back in shape. But I think he's a good spot right now, and I think being out on the grass is going to be a good thing for him.
Well, great to hear that Jalen Johnson could potentially be back in time for round 1 against Green Bay in December.
Yeah, and that one's in Green Bay, and we all remember what happened early in January when the Bears went in there and finished their season getting that win against the Packers. And I think right now there's a lot of question marks about the Packers and Jordan Love. So that would be perfect timing for the Bears to get their best defensive player back and get this secondary back to being whole. Jaquan
Brisker was a question mark this week.
Yeah.
Didn't practice till Friday. Looks like he'll play, thankfully, because Minnesota's coming at you with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in this football game. Jaquan Brisker earlier had this to say about the Vikes.
Every single game is huge, and this is another big game for us, especially as a divisional game. They beat us the first time. We're looking, to beat them and get it back even, and we're looking for a first divisional win. And they're in front of us, so we gotta attack.
If you had to lean into one key for Sunday for you guys, what would you say?
One key?
Yeah.
Don't let Justin Jefferson go off. Basically, just don't let him go off. Don't let him get the ball.
Hey, I'm just happy to have him back because the Bears are still without Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson. TJ Edwards won't play in this game. 4 starters still out, but guys are slowly getting healthy, and hopefully they'll be there for that stretch run in December. Let's get back to Jordan Addison. Didn't play in the opener, but he gives Minnesota that double threat.
Yeah, he does, because Jordan Addison plus Justin Jefferson minus Bears starters in the secondary is not a good math equation if you're Chicago. So another reason why it's so important to have Jaquan Brisker back. He's one of those players where you just feel like he is all over the field. And so they need to have that as long as he maybe keeps the talking to a minimum, because he did give some bulletin board material to Justin Jefferson a couple weeks ago. He told everyone that he made him cry during Brisker's rookie season. And so you know that is going around the Vikings facility right now.
All right. I've been asking Danny Parkins this on the Monday edition of Chicago Sports Tonight Daily. I'm going to get into it with Cassie Carlson now. Since you're around the team every day, tell me where we are on the Cassie Carlson Bears playoff meeting.
Does that have like a headshot of me and it is on a little thing? I think, can we make this?
Jason, Joe, today, one of our producers needs to put Cassie's pretty head on there. And see where we are with the playoff meter.
He will not allow himself to be left out of this. He's going to want one, too. Where are the Bears on the playoff meter? I mean, if you just want to look at where they are in it right now. And being that they are 6-3.
How do you feel about this?
How do I feel about it?
Them getting into the playoffs. We know that they have a gauntlet of a schedule left.
They do, and that's why it's tough, because their record would tell you they're a playoff team right now. The way they are playing does not make me feel like they're playing at a playoff caliber. That's not to say that they can't get there, and that's not to say that they won't be come Week 18, which could potentially be a very high-stakes game against the Lions back at home. I just think there's so much more that consistency that needs to show up for all 4 quarters. And while it's fun and exhilarating to see the way they are never out of a game late in the 4th quarter, and they can come back, and you have all the belief in the world in Caleb Williams, whose heart rate goes down when he knows he has to put the team on his back and put his Superman cape on, I don't think that's sustainable, and that doesn't make a playoff team. You have to find a way. Killer instinct has been the key word from Ben Johnson. Find the killer instinct, finish games, put teams away.
All right, Parkins said he was at 51. Where are you?
Oh, 51? Yeah, I think I'll go 53 just because of their record. Like, they have found ways to win games that they would have lost in the past, and that has to count for something.
You know where Peter Positive is?
100?
Peter Positive is going at 60 right now.
60.
I am such a Bears fan. But here's why. I truly believe Ben Johnson, when he says his team will be playing its best football in December, I buy it, number one. They're going to get healthy. Johnson's back at practice. Kyler Gordon will return pretty soon. TJ Edwards isn't gone for the rest of the season. So that defense will get much better. As long as Caleb Williams is healthy, I feel that they're going to go on a real good run. And regarding Sunday, Cassie, no offensive coordinator, now head coach, played the Brian Flores defense better than Ben Johnson. We will see Cassie Sunday morning live from U.S. Bank Stadium, 9 o'clock on Orange Sunday, and then Bears Game Day live with Big A, Anthony Herron, and myself at 9:30. Plus this Sunday, we are going to do a special post-game show after the game on Fox 32 Chicago and Fox 32 streaming channels, YouTube, the website. We're going to call it After the Whistle. Cassie will be inside the Bears locker room in Minneapolis. Tina Wynn and the crew, they will join me on set on Fox 32 Chicago. All right, we're going to go to Wrigley Field. Let's talk some college football. Guess who's joining us after the break? Do you know who?
Do I know who?
Brady Quinn? Brady Quinn, the former Notre Dame quarterback, part of Big Saturday there at Wrigley Field, there for the Northwestern-Michigan game. Brady Quinn joins us next here on CST. Welcome back to Chicago Sports Tonight, along with Cassie Carlson, Luke Cadellis with you. How about some college football? Northwestern plays its first of 2 games at Wrigley Field, Saturday against Michigan, next week against Minnesota as well. Let's go out to the old baseball cathedral, which is going to turn into a football stadium Saturday. Fox's big noon Saturday crew will be there tomorrow morning. Brady Quinn, part of the crew, nice enough to join us. Brady, the weather is for baseball. Northwestern, I know, has played a few games over the years at Wrigley. How does the old ballpark look at this time of the year right now?
It looks gorgeous. It couldn't look any better. Lou, thanks guys for having me on, but it looks gorgeous. It looks like it's set up for a football game, but obviously there's still the nostalgia of what is Wrigley Field. So we're standing just right outside the outfield right now, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
That's awesome. Hey, Michigan, I want to get right into the game because I know you're pressed for time. Michigan has zero margin for error when it comes to the college football chase right now, college football playoff chase. They're in the thick of the Big Ten title hunt right now. This game means everything for the Wolverines, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even just winning. I think they also have to win in an impressive fashion because they're not going to be playing in the Big Ten championship game. And on top of that, there's going to be a decent chance that they have to be able to win by sizable margins versus some of these the teams that they should beat somewhat easily. And then finally, there's the big matchup versus Ohio State at the end of the season. And that's really where we're going to find out whether or not they will be able to make it in the college football playoff. I'm not sure with the loss to Ohio State and 3 losses on the season, they'll still be able to make it in as an at-large bid.
Let's talk about Northwestern a little bit because they were picked to finish 17th in the Big Ten preseason poll. Now they're right in the middle of the pack. Where do you feel like they have surprised people the most?
I think by one being competitive. I mean, this is a different team than what we saw last year. Tremendously physical on both sides of the football. They're able to run the football effectively, too. You know, the passing game has left a little bit to be desired, but at times Preston Stone has stepped up and made plays when he's needed to. So this is, to me, a team that I think Coach Braun has built a foundation where they're building off of, really, since he's been there, but more importantly, what they've been able to accomplish so far this year. And I think they've got something going there. So hopefully, they can keep this one tight, keep building off the momentum that they've created a little bit this season.
Brady, Northwestern needs to win 1 game to become bowl eligible. Do you think it happens against Michigan, next week against Minnesota, or the final game against Illinois and Champaign?
I would say their best chance is most likely Minnesota. I think that's probably going to be the best chance to become bowl eligible, which is, again, a big stepping stone for a team that's been through a state of transition, obviously, over the past few years. But Michigan's going to be a tough out. You know, they've got to find a way of getting some turnovers, making some big plays in the passing game, which they've struggled to do. And then Illinois is also another competitive team. They've got a shot, but, again, Minnesota's probably their best chance.
All right, let's talk about some other teams in the area. Notre Dame and Pitt. Who do you like in that game?
Notre Dame. I mean, always the Fighting Irish. I think, look, they've got the best player in the country. I don't know if he'll win the Heisman or not, but he should at least be in New York, and that's Jeremiah Love, their running back. He's sensational. Yeah. Jadarian Price is sensational. So they can run the football, but that's really the strength of Pitt's defense. They can stop the run. So it's going to be on the shoulders of C.J. Carr. He's been outstanding in his first year starting. I couldn't be a bigger fan of this young man. And he's got the ability to really stretch the field vertically, create big plays in the passing game, and that's going to be his challenge this week. They're going to pressure him. They're going to force him to have to win on his arm, and I think he's very much capable of doing that.
Being a former Notre Dame guy, tell me you've been out to Wrigleyville before, right?
I have. I had a chance to throw out the first pitch, sing the 7th inning stretch. Actually, I watched Sean Johnson get proposed to.
Oh, wow.
Her husband, Andrew East, he talked to me before we went out there. Both our wives were throwing out the first pitch, and he showed me the ring. And I was like, whoa. Maybe we're going to rethink this. I mean, it's a very memorable way of doing it, but like, are we sure? We haven't talked about this. And he ended up going and doing it. So against my advice, I was trying to get him to pump the brakes there. He got some time, but he proposed, and the rest is history. They've got a beautiful family now. But yeah, there's been a lot of action for me here at Wrigley.
Man, that's great. I don't know what to expect tomorrow.
Well, hopefully everyone's not going to stay out and have too much fun in Chicago tonight, because that'll get you from time to time. I had my own fun adventures back when Jeff Samardzija was pitching for the Cubs over at old Harry Carey's.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So we had a few adult beverages back in the day, a time or two. So I know Leinert's hungover right now, so we're going to try to go get him to sober up, maybe grab a nice dinner, and we'll see if we can't get him to get back into it.
Yeah, get Leinert back in. He's an LA
the batting
guy.
cages.
Come on,
Go
man.
to Sluggers.
This is easy for him.
He's a SoCal guy. They don't recover well. Those SoCal guys don't recover well. They're not used to the Midwest folks.
Exactly. Hey, you are one of the best, and we appreciate you jumping on with us again. Thanks, Brady.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Brady Quinn, part of the Big Saturday crew that we'll carry here on Fox. We do on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. What a great guy. Obviously, what a great name here in the Chicagoland area, having been the quarterback at Notre Dame.
Yeah, super exciting to have them in town. I think when you see big noon kickoff coming to Wrigley Field, you know it's going to be one of the best stages set in college football. We saw it on the lakefront earlier this season. And so Wrigleyville, 60 degrees in November.
Oh, man.
Wrigleyville
We should be doing the show.
Everyone
we should be doing Chicago sports.
Hungover on Sunday, just in time to plop down on the couch for the Bears.
Oh, boy. Next week against Minnesota, by the way, will most likely be the last Northwestern football game at Wrigley, and for good reason. The new $862 million Ryan Field is expected to be ready for next season, so why play anywhere else if you're Northwestern? Speaking of big money, no one in baseball negotiates the amount of big contracts like Scott Boras. After a break, Boras gives us his sell job for his players like only Scott Boras can. And we'll ask our baseball expert, Jesse Rogers from ESPN, if the Cubs or White Sox will go shopping in the Boras free agent market. It comes your way next here on CST.
I learned a lot about Bregman in 25, because in Boston, they went out and spent some Starbucks to bring in a Bregman blend that led them to the playoffs. I'm sure the Boston fans don't want this to be just a cup of coffee, and no one wants a Brexit. Pitchers that can give you 30-plus starts 5 years in a row, other than Dylan, they cease to exist. Pete's pursuers are primed to pay the power piper. Obviously, everywhere they go, they know it's Scooble Day. Pete picked a perfect period to play preeminently. When most teams talk to me about Imai, they say, oh my. Pete possesses a pachydermian-like perseverance. I think Kim is a hot song on the shortstop charts. Forgive the pun, but it's become a platoon. Except for Pete. I'm about done with my P's, I think.
Wow, the king of the baseball world, the man who basically owns baseball's free agent market, Scott Boras, sending warning in his own little way, clever way, to general managers who may want to go shopping for the players that he represents. Baseball's GM meetings wrapped up in Las Vegas. Let's bring back our baseball expert, ESPN's Jesse Rogers. He's back from his trip in Las Vegas. Hey, man, have you ever heard Boras so eloquent about the players he represents?
So a couple things, Lou. I was at that media scrum, and I've been at many of his past ones. I will say what he lacked in quality, he made up in quantity, because he had a pun for every single client. What is impressive is his memory. There were no notes this time. He did all that via memory and delivered it pretty well. So I got to give him credit. He didn't mess up a word or two, anything like that. I give him credit for the delivery. The material was just so-so in the Jesse Rogers ratings. So, he got his point across as he always does, but it was a bit of a roll of the eyes at times.
Hey, I'm impressed. As the man has gotten older, he remembers more. I want to get right to it with you. Cubs or White Sox, are they willing to go shopping in the Boras free agent market?
I don't think the White Sox are, unless it's maybe a one-year deal for kind of a lower-level kind of free agent, but I'm not even sure that exists in the Boras world. The Cubs are. The Cubs are. Now, they haven't done a ton of multi-year, huge million-dollar deals with Scott Boras lately, though they did come to an agreement on Cody Bellinger's 3-year deal before they traded him. So there's plenty of history with Jed Hoyer. I do think they will engage Boras on several guys.
Jed Hoyer said the Cubs are going to be active this offseason. Take it for what it's worth. I don't know what that means. Chris Getz said the White Sox will be aggressive in the right places in free agency. Any idea what this means for each team? Are we going to go out and make big deals or no?
I mean, I think the Cubs will. I do. I think they'll either trade or sign a number 1 or number 2 pitcher, maybe a 2, right? I don't think they just want middle rotation guys. I think they'd like to go bigger than that. So I mentioned some of those names. The Marlins are always, Edward Cabrera could be on the move. Sandy Alcantara, who won the Cy Young. Pablo Lopez in Minnesota. Jacob deGrom in Texas. So there's plenty of trade candidates and free agents out there for the Cubs to sign or trade for. The Sox are going to be a little bit more surgical. I think they're going to sign a veteran pitcher to a 1 or 2 year deal. Could be anybody like a Michael Lorenzen or someone like that. Just a veteran that can eat up innings, kind of maybe show the way for the young players. They'll do the same thing, I think, in the outfield, a veteran corner outfield, kind of like they did with Michael Taylor, Tauchman, those kinds of guys. Again, to sort of show the way and be a veteran influence. No different, really, than last offseason for the White Sox, in my mind. The difference for the Cubs is they're not going after a Kyle Tucker. Their position and player base is pretty set. They're going after pitchers, again, via trade and free agency.
All right, but Jed Hoyer said that they want Kyle Tucker back. You think they'll be priced out of his market?
I do. I just think that it was a 1-year deal from the start. I really do. They don't want to spend $40 million on a single player for a long-term contract at this point. Not with a new labor agreement with the players on the horizon after this season. I just don't think they want to tie it up. And, it's about the moment in time, meaning, okay, their top prospect basically is a right fielder. Owen Casey can step right in and make the minimum compared to $40 million for Kyle Tucker. Now, he may not be the same guy production-wise, but that's just how you keep things nimble when you have a payroll that the Cubs want to have, which means it's not unlimited. So it's time and place. If the Cubs had no outfielders ready to take over, might be a different story. But not only do they have Owen Casey, they have Moises Ballesteros, who can DH, which would send Seiya Suzuki out to right field. I mean, I talked to Jed Hoyer, Lou. No guarantees that these guys are going to replace Tucker's production. That is something that worries them. But it's about where you are, and they have hitters. They don't have young pitchers. They don't have, necessarily number 1 veteran pitchers.
Shota Imanaga has till next Tuesday to accept the Cubs' qualifying offer. What are you hearing, Jess?
I don't think he's going to accept it. I think he's working out a multi-year deal. It could be with the Cubs. It could be with another team. With the Cubs, it'd probably be for 2 years. He might get 3 from another team, or he might get more for a 2-year deal. So I still have my doubts that he'll be back. I think that, things didn't end well for him. Obviously, he had a huge, a lofty ERA in September, got passed over in October in Game 5 there against the Brewers. They asked him to put on weight to begin the season. He injures his hamstring. I think it was choppy waters with the Cubs this past year. Doesn't mean he won't resign. It just means that he's going to look elsewhere. If he gets a better offer, he'll move on. And I think he will hear a better offer. I do think that. For 2 years, I think he could get 35 to 40 million, maybe 36, 37, something like that. And maybe even a 3-year deal somewhere, which is exactly the deal the Cubs turned down. So I still have my doubts that he'll be back, but I won't call it an impossibility.
All right, our baseball insider, ESPN's Jesse Rogers, nice enough to join us. That is going to wrap up today's show. We'll see you Sunday night, 10 o'clock, for a full recap of the Bears-Vikings game. Till then, see ya.